Keith Marlowe here again. This is the second in this series of videos on adult-to-adult relationship training. You might remember in the last one I talked about the 4 practices of one's willingness to take responsibility for self, willingness to keep one's agreements, willingness to respect a person's right to be who he or she is, and a commitment to full self-expression. Today I want to focus on the first of the 4 practices, willingness to take responsibility for myself. And that includes my actions, my emotions, and my thoughts. I start here because, in a sense, this one is the foundation for the other 3. Because if we are not able or willing to take responsibility for our actions and for the consequences of our actions, then we aren't going to be able to build a satisfying and a respectful relationship with another person. Now, this is very difficult because we seem to be growing up in a time when there's a concerted effort to blame others for our own experience. Perhaps that can start in childhood, but the thing is, when we become an adult, then we are responsible for what we think, we're responsible for our emotions, and most importantly, we're responsible for our actions, because it's through our actions that we show ourselves to the world. Now, the only pathway that I've found for myself that is supportive of my taking responsibility for myself is to learn how to listen to my body. And of course, that's something all of us can do. And sadly, many of us, to our own detriment, fail to do. So what does that mean, to listen to your body? Well, the first step is to be willing to commit to giving yourself time to learn how to do it. And what I recommend is that you give yourself at least 5 minutes to sit quietly without any distraction like a screen or even music to start. And to sit in a chair and notice what your body is experiencing. And that can be difficult for many of us because our mind just goes bonkers. It goes into a million different directions. So when you choose to sit and listen to your body, sometimes it's helpful to focus on one aspect of sensation. For example, you can begin to focus on where your feet make contact with the floor, or where other parts of your body are making contact with the furniture that you're sitting or lying on, depending on how you choose to do it. And what will happen inevitably, because I think this happens for all of us, is that your mind is going to go in many different directions. It may start to form opinions about what you're feeling in your body. It may start to go to the problems of the day or the problems of the world. And when that happens, as soon as you can recognize that your mind has taken you down a pathway, you're beginning to get to a point where you can take responsibility for that. So first off, you notice that. So if you notice your mind going someplace, you can say, oh, my mind is doing this. Or you can just say quietly in your mind's eye, so to speak, oh, thinking. You may be drawn into some emotional experience, and you can do the same there. You can notice feeling, and rather than form an opinion about the thought or the feeling, just notice it, be aware of it, and not so much as push away from it as to experience it and see where that takes you, that sense of being with the thought or the emotion, and keep coming back to focusing on sensation in a more broad sense. So it might be you notice the tingling in your body. You might even pay attention to your breathing and focus on the breathing as the air comes in through your nostrils, and you notice that your chest fills. Perhaps you'll also notice if it's a deep breath that your belly fills. Just be aware of those sensations and allow each sensation to make way for the next one, because it'll be an ongoing process of noticing, experiencing. Some find paying attention to breathing is really helpful to be aware of what is happening with your body. Now, what makes this body awareness so important? Well, much of the challenge in our relationships results from reactivity. And when we're reacting to something, we are not allowing ourselves to be fully present in the experience. So learning to notice when your body is in reactivity is essential to be able to practice this model in adult-to-adult relationships, so that you can be in your adult while you engage in the interactions with other people. So reactivity occurs because most often we're in disagreement or we're hurt by what another person says, and we focus on our understanding of what they're saying to us rather than paying attention to our own body. Now, how do you know if you're in reactivity? Well, your body will feel uncomfortable, and learning to notice when your body is uncomfortable is the beginning stage of being able to practice taking responsibility for yourself. So if your body is uncomfortable, then you can choose to focus on the sensations that are in your body for a moment and not on what you're experiencing from the other person or persons. And if you are able to then focus on what your body is experiencing, it's like you give yourself a moment of choice. You stop from immediately responding, and sometimes, especially if it's a very important relationship, it's important to even say ouch, because more often than not, what you're experiencing inside is some form of hurt or pain. So you might say ouch, and that's not a reactivity, that's a momentary expression of what you're feeling. And by doing that, you create that just fraction of a second where you can choose a more adult or more appropriate, and in the long term, a more effective response to the person or persons that you are in a situation with you. So it's that pause that allows us to create more satisfying and successful relationships. Now, for many people, meditation has become an important support for moving into more adult-to-adult relationships. And there's a saying that if you can't find 15 minutes to meditate in a day, then you need an hour. I think it's helpful to start with 5 minutes of sitting quietly in a chair and paying attention to your physical responses so that you can begin to give yourself that pause. 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference. Now, you also might find that once you start spending 5 minutes a day, you desire to spend a little bit more time in order to increase your capacity to take that pause, to begin to notice the reactivity in your body. So let that be a start. Allow yourself to learn how to listen to your body, because your body will let you know when you're in distress. Some people also, I would add, find it helpful to get massage or some other form of physical therapy, physiotherapy, whatever, to help soften the muscles in the body so that you actually become even more sensitive to when your body is in reactivity. So that's enough for today's session. May you be well. May you be happy.